Now we move on to session 2, where 4 executive speakers will discuss about innovation and collaboration. Let's begin with our first speaker, one of our keynote speakers. I would like to welcome Dr. Panayiotis Philimis, founder and CEO of Cyric, the Cyprus Research and Innovation Center at Gravity Ventures Incubator. He belongs to an esteemed global network of high-level professionals which deliver top-notch services with high-quality standards to the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Cyprus and the region. With more than 20 years' experience in the design and development of disruptive high-tech products, he managed several R&D and industry projects with budgets exceeding hundreds of millions euros. Mr. Philimis will present us the impact of disruptive and emerging technologies on society. Dr. Philimis, the floor is yours.
Good morning. So I'm going to start by saying that disruptive and advanced emerging technologies could soon tackle the world's most pressing problems. Nowadays, technologies are more acceptable by societies, and especially from the young generations that are growing much faster than ever before. We have seen that in the difficult times of COVID, such technologies have played a vital role in tackling problems during the lockdowns and are helping even more in finding COVID treatment and diagnostic devices. COVID-19 also has propelled some of the industries further than others, the number one being the technology companies, which had an increase by 80%. Let's see about the first 3 top disruptive technologies that will have the highest impact on society within the next 3 years. The results we're seeing here are coming from a survey that was conducted by KPMG and captured the opinion of more than 750 global technology industry leaders, including C-level executives, startup entrepreneurs, and Fortune 500 executives, in identifying the technologies that will have the greatest impact in driving change the next 3 years. So we see that the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and robotics led these charts. We can see that Internet of Things leads by 17% and is driving the greatest business transformation. Again, by 17%, we have that enables the next indispensable consumer technology, and by 14%, we want to drive the greatest benefit to the life, society, and the environment. We have the followers, which is our artificial intelligence and robotics. Now, let's start by the Internet of Things. As you can see, UK and Japan, tech industry leads the IoT, followed closely by USA and China. More cities will become smarter. That means that cities will be able to automate, remotely manage, and collect data through things like visitors kiosks, video camera surveillance, parking sensors, lighting systems, bike rental stations, and taxis. Artificial intelligence will continue to become a bigger thing with much more smart home devices collecting massive data. We'll see also the evolution of routers that will continue to become more secure and smarter. We have seen now 5G networks that will continue to fuel IoT growth. Recently, we have seen China launching its 6G satellite. Faster network means that data accumulated by your smart devices will be gathered, analyzed, and managed at a higher degree. That will fuel innovation at company level that make IoT devices and will boost consumer demand for new products. Security and privacy concerns will drive new legislations and regulatory activity. Companies need to be transparent and diligent about protecting the data of their customers. By 2025, it is estimated that will be more than 21 billion IoT devices and will reach a market of 1.5 trillion euros. Moving on to the artificial intelligence, we can see US and Japan are leading AI, following closely by India, UK, and China. We will see artificial intelligence in optimizing manufacturing facilities, especially the heavy industries. We'll see a dramatic reduction of the carbon footprint. We'll see reduction in materials, reductions in time. In healthcare, artificial intelligence will help connecting even with the brain and communicate and control different parts of the body, like prosthetics. We have seen recently Elon Musk company presenting better chips in experimenting with pigs with a target to control different parts of the body for paraplegic. Artificial intelligence also is used in robotics and will thrive, I would say, in the retail industry with a dramatic increase in productivity. AI also has helped a lot in faster identification of COVID treatments and also monitoring diagnostic devices. 13% of global tech leaders identified artificial intelligence as the top technology game changer in driving business transformation. Worldwide spending in AI exceeds more than 60 billion euro. Technological change has been getting quicker. It is estimated that the implementation lag for AI-related technologies will be about just 10 years. Imagine the like 100 and 200 years ago, when an invention was coming out, it was taking approximately 50 to 100 years to be implemented. So in 10 years from now, artificial intelligence could contribute to the global economy up to 15 trillion euros. Just imagine that in 10 years, approximately the GDP will be more than 250 trillion, and that means the 15 trillion will be almost 7 to 10% of the total GDP of the whole world. So in my opinion, whoever leads the artificial intelligence in 10 years will rule also the world in the future. Now, moving on into the robotics, we can see Japan and China leading, followed closely by USA, India, and UK. We'll see definitely increased productivity using robots, especially as mentioned before in retail industry. We'll see augmented collaboration with humans and robots, increasingly working together side by side. We'll see autonomous machines that will be capable of taking or even more tasks, enabling humans to focus on the real value at work. The professional service robot market is also poised to take off with a vengeance, fueled by the new developments of 5G telecom services and artificial intelligence chips. We have seen autonomous robot cleaners use ultraviolet light during COVID to disinfect hospitals and medical facilities. We have seen also during COVID elderly care robots thriving, designed to increase the independence and reduce loneliness within the world of growing elderly population. We have seen more than 10% of the global manufacturing workforce that stands to be replaced by robots by 2030. China will have the most manufacturing automations with as many as 14 million industrial robots by 2030. And if just a 30% rise in robot installation worldwide happens, that will create approximately 5 trillion additional global GDP. Currently, the market of robotics is around 200 billion and is estimated to add the global economy up to 5 trillion by 2030. Moving on to other, I would say, emerging technologies, it's the next one I chose to present is virtual reality and augmented reality. These technologies will enable users to submerge themselves in virtual worlds and experience information in first person using all their senses. We'll see much more items move from the physical to the virtual world. Augmented reality enables smart glasses, help warehouse workers fulfill orders with precision. We've seen earlier manufacturers assemble planes with this, and electrical workers make repairs. So AI is a vital tool at the moment in business. The power of bringing information to the point of action in a seamless and obtrusive manner is undeniable. This blending of the physical and the virtual world is cracking open a new realm of business across the board to explore. In 10 years from now, we see these technologies play a very important role in learning and speed up the merger of physical and digital identities. It will have the potential to add to global economy over 1.5 trillion euros. The next one I chose to present is blockchain. Blockchain will enable us to move from an ownership economy to a shared economy in which we no longer need to own our own items, but are able to share resources, including cars, data, internet, solar energy, and more. Blockchain application could also help a universal information system with easier, more compatible, and more secure access to records, research, and available therapies, along with patient data while minimizing administrative time. Another technology of blockchain is smart contracts. With smart contracts, we may remove the need of the lawyer or other intermediaries who traditionally would facilitate trust between parties. By eliminating the middleman, smart contracts could drive down costs in transactions. We see also more transparency, and the most important, I would say, is democratization in different societies. In a survey, 30% declare that most likely blockchain will disrupt their business within the next few years. It will have the potential to add to the global economy up to 3 trillion euro in a few years. The next emerging technology I would like to present is 3D printing. From printing novelty objects to hearing aids to prosthetic limbs and all the way to spacecraft engines, 3D printing technology is quickly securing its place in the future of manufacturing. We have Elon Musk's company SpaceX use 3D printing to create the engine chambers of their spacecraft Dragon. By using 3D printing, it took only just 3 months to go from concept to completion and drastically reducing the lead time. In the future, we may see manufacturing airline industry looking into using 3D printers. 3D printing is also starting to turn heads within the construction industry, realizing the benefits of more efficient use of resources, less wastage, less pollution, and impact on the environment, as well as better health and safety. We may even see the benefits of 3D printing houses in fields such as quick relief aid for victims of natural disasters. We may see also in 10 or 20 years the 3D printing of organs at a higher level. Now, moving on to present a little bit about the challenges that an engineer or a company is facing during the development of disruptive technologies. Now, through the journey of technological advancement, companies will face many challenges. Based on my 25 years experience in developing disruptive technologies, I will say that this is a very challenging task with many obstacles along the journey to reach success. Most of them fail at the first stage of research and development. This is typically performed in research organizations and universities and takes a lot of time. Typically in deep tech, it may take 4 to 7 years. In pharma, it may take even more. Companies tend to license technologies from universities, and this is the most wise thing to do. The second most important challenge is the intellectual property. This is very important and it costs a lot. Especially if you're filing patents in many jurisdictions. So you can imagine a small company that is trying to develop such disruptive technologies. It's best to collaborate and license technologies from universities or from other bigger companies. In addition, we should look at the final product and see that if there are parts which cannot be patented and seek advice for freedom to operate, for example. And in that case, if you are infringing other patents, you may need to pay licenses. So this is very important that developing disruptive technologies, it's a vital part to make sure that IP is secured. And this is because if you want to get investments and grow up faster and enter the global markets, you need to have the IP valuation, and it has to be clear and very strong. Product design also is very important and needs to meet the consumer standards. So it has to look right for customers. Market validation is also very important, and sometimes it needs to be done from the beginning so as not to waste any money. For example, in the case of disruptive technologies, it may not be needed, especially if the need comes from the industry itself. Deep tech actually requires a lot of money and time before commercialization, especially if it's a medical device, and in that case, it even requires extra clinical trials and FDA approvals. Last challenge is the commercialization that requires specific skills and is wise to employ people with international experience so you can hit the market faster. This is also essential for investors that especially if they're going to be investing in the Series A or Series B, to see that the team actually has people that they have worked internationally and they have the experiences. Now, staying on top of emerging technology trends is really very important. If you really want to work on disruptive technologies, you need to keep up to date with the emerging technologies, and that is very important. The company should have in their team at least one person dedicated to keep himself updated with all the technologies of interest. All knowledge needs to be sought from everywhere as far as this product. This is very important. So if you want to disrupt the market with a new disruptive product, you need to be updated for any information related, new products, products under development, even from startups. So it's really important to have a global view of what's going on in that market. You have to work also with the best cutting edge technologies, and that view into the market will give you better insights. You need to also have a team with diverse and multidisciplinary expertise. This is very important. In this competitive landscape of products, the solution sometimes might come from other technologies and other sectors. So it's common to have disruptive technologies combining these different kinds of sectors, and especially where there is a lot of highly competition with many patents, and really sometimes coming up with a new disruptive solutions, you need to think outside the box. That's why having this multidisciplinary expertise will help a lot. So having this knowledge in your team is really important in order to come with this radical new idea. You have to be also receptive to new knowledge and news. Send your personnel for training, also in new technologies. You need to use diverse sources of inspiration. You can use external experts coming from the industry, especially those that they know very well the market, and they will identify whether your product is and this disruptive product is really going to sell in the market. You have to be also having your own social and print media, which are very important to showcase and attract investors. And obviously, training your personnel. Now have the more online and face-to-face. It's really very important, but during this COVID period, it seems that we can do a lot of these things online. But it's very important to watch the technological evolution, either in conferences or in exhibitions. A company, in order to remain competitive and be successful to its business goals and developing disruptive technologies, and especially if you want to disrupt the markets with these products, you have to keep up to date with the technological advancements within the industry, and that's how a company can be driven by innovation. Now, let's see the impact during the COVID. During the pandemic, we have seen an enormous speed up of digitalization in many organizations. In fact, COVID-19 has accelerated the company's digital communication strategy by a global average of 6 years. We have seen an increased adoption of new biotechnologies of detecting COVID. We have seen digital technologies have opened a definite future remote work opportunities. The use of artificial intelligence in scientific and medical research, in particular in applications such as telemedicine, medical diagnosis, epidemiological studies, and clinical management of patients. Have also seen that the crisis resulted into a greater acceptance of robots at the workspace. We have seen a lot of robotic companies working the UV cleaning and disinfection in hospitals, coming up with new ideas and bringing down the cost of robots dramatically during this COVID period. We have seen also how easily the data was shared for monitoring the spread of the virus and people accepting in most of the countries. monitoring data about the spread of the disease. Now, let's move on into the impact on society. The impact on society by disruptive and emerging technologies is huge. Global GDP will be tripled by 2030. We'll see better communication between different cultures. Technology will enable faster decarbonization of factories, and this will have a very positive impact to the environment. Disruptive technologies driving the most benefits of society, with the top three, as mentioned before, being the IoT, artificial intelligence, and robotics. This technology will also drive the greatest business transformation, and it will enable the future consumer technologies within the next few years. Even though artificial intelligence, robots, and I will say virtual reality also are replacing more and more jobs, productivity will be increased. Wealth of masses will be increased, and it's predicted that artificial intelligence will create more jobs from what it takes. A recent survey finds that technology offered by unemployment could influence the job choice by 90%. In 10 years from now, more than 85% of the jobs will be replaced by new ones. So we see a shift from traditional jobs. We see also social communication changing. With the social media nowadays, we see the creation of a feeling of isolation, since we can shop, dine, communicate, and go about our daily routine without interacting with another person. But it is accepted that we will be communicating with AI telepathy. Again, Elon Musk has already founded a company to turn this prediction into reality. The future of communication seems promising, and adapting to the new changes and will be a challenge. However, in the new era of technology and popularity of innovative technology, it seems, in my opinion, adjusting will be much easier than rejecting. All societies now have second thoughts when it comes to disruptive technologies. And the reason being that these are intruding our everyday life, and sometimes they get us out of our comfort zone. There are two speeds of worlds at the moment. The ones coming from the least developed countries, and the other ones coming from the developing ones. However, we can see a smoother transition of these countries moving from one speed to the other. We have an example, Africa, where Nigeria, which is Africa's biggest market, 2/3 of Nigeria's internet users have purchased online. So we see also a growing number of technology hubs in Africa, which helps a lot being more extrovert and collaborate. For example, next week I'm participating for the second time into a networking event between Europe and Africa. This will be online, of course. And there are participation from over 35 technology hubs from 25 countries from Europe and Africa. So societies, even coming from, I would say, the least developed countries, are embracing at some point the disruptive and the new technologies. And the main reason, I would say, is being the fact that technology helps us in our daily lives. For example, it saves lives by improving medicine, it keeps us connected to each other, and provides education and entertainment. But most importantly, I will say that technology makes us more humane. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Dr. Philimis. Your presentation was really interesting and enlightening. Now we continue